Picture this, all right? You're sitting at your desk, just the glow of your monitor lighting up your face. You've just hit send on, your 100th email of the week. And then you wait. You hit refresh. You just stare at an empty inbox. Man, it really feels like you're shouting into an absolute void, doesn't it? Well, welcome to today's explainer. We are going to completely deconstruct the exact science of actually getting a response. We're going to take you from sending messages out into the abyss to mastering the modern architecture of real connection. Let's get right into it.
Because look, this is a universal pain point right now. You're probably wondering, why on earth do 90% of my outreach messages get completely ignored? And the harsh reality here is that our inboxes are just flooded. We're all completely overwhelmed with noise. That old era of transactional, high-volume spam, it is officially dead. Buyers, partners, community members, they can spot an automated extractive mass blast from literally a mile away. And you know what their immediate reflex is? Delete. If you're still relying on mass blasts, you aren't just wasting time, you are actively damaging your brand's reputation.
So how do we fix this? Here's our roadmap to systematically rebuild your outreach approach from the ground up. We're covering 5 key areas today: the death of spam, the psychology of connection, frameworks that actually work, building your outreach cadence, and finally, the ethical outreach era. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the death of spam and the evolution of outreach. To survive today, we have to fundamentally shift how we think about reaching out. We're moving way away from those old days of extractive mass blasts, where the sender is just trying to take. Today, it's an absolute requirement to use highly personalized, value-driven communication. If you aren't leading with value, you're not even playing the game. We can really see this divide clearly if we look at executive coach Corby Fine's principles. Check out the transactional approach on the left. The intent is totally obscured. You know, like that just checking in email that's really just a hidden pitch. It's extractive, meaning you only reach out when you need something, and it relies on just a massive volume of emails. The result? Super low response rates and high reputational risk. Contrast that with the ethical approach on the right. Here, your intent is transparent right from message 1. The value exchange is reciprocal, and the focus is on high quality, not high volume. This is what actually builds genuine professional relationships.
Which brings us to Section 2, the psychology of connection, and exactly why people reply. Because if spam is dead, what actually breathes life into a conversation? Well, we have to look at the behavioral science behind why human beings, who, let's face it, are busier than ever, actually choose to stop what they're doing and hit reply. It really all starts with this one concept: reciprocity. Dr. Robert Cialdini, a massive expert in the psychology of persuasion, identifies this as one of the single strongest human tendencies out there. It's that built-in obligation to return a favor. In the context of this explainer, that means offering value before you make a request. Instead of kicking things off with a pitch, you lead with maybe a free audit, a unique data point, or a super relevant insight. Giving before you ask, that is the ultimate key to influence.
I absolutely love this quote from Outbound Republic. People reply when they feel seen, intrigued, and respected. That's the difference between noise and connection. Honestly, the best outreach out there does not rely on manipulation or tricks. It relies on genuine motivation. It is all about making the prospect feel truly valued and understood in their specific context.
All right, moving on to Section 3, frameworks that actually work. Let's look at the playbook. So we've covered the theory and the psychology. Now let's talk execution. We're going to equip you with the actual tools and structural playbooks that cut right through that inbox noise. This brilliant breakdown, sourced from ClearOut, illustrates exactly how to match your message to the moment. For instance, if you're doing a first touch outreach, IDEA, which stands for attention, interest, desire, action, is fantastic for just grabbing their curiosity. Dealing with high-ticket B2B deals? Try using BAB, or Before, After, Bridge, to paint a really clear picture of transformation. If you're focusing on building trust, you want to go value first, giving them an insight before you ask for anything. Or, say a company just announced a new round of funding. You'd use a trigger event framework. Matching the correct framework to your prospect's specific situation is going to dramatically improve your reply rates.
Now, if you're targeting executive decision makers, you really need the AIM framework from Value Selling. AIM stands for anxiety, influence, and motivation. Here's how it works. First, anxiety. You open up by identifying a specific operational pressure or maybe a regulatory change in their industry, something you know keeps them up at night. Second, influence. You share credible proof points or case studies showing how their peers actually solved that exact anxiety. And finally, motivation. You close it out with a very clear low-friction call to action.
Do you see how this shifts the dynamic? It completely replaces the outdated, seller-focused product pitch with a buyer-focused actual business conversation.
If you only take one single thing away from this explainer, please make it this. Lead with insight, not introductions. Here's the dramatic reveal, folks. Buyers do not want to be educated on your product by you in an email. They can literally do that on your website whenever they want. What they desperately want is a trusted advisor, someone who genuinely gets their specific, highly nuanced context. You have to show them that you know their world first.
Let's jump into section 4, building your outreach cadence. Think of this as the ecosystem.
Because look, sending one perfect message, it's just not enough. Outreach is not a single isolated email. It is a living, ongoing ecosystem. And you've got quite the arsenal at your disposal. According to salesman.com, there are generally 7 types of outreach activities you can leverage: video, social, email, meeting, call, voicemail, and text. The secret sauce here is understanding that not everybody responds to the same medium. A startup founder might respond instantly to a text or a quick LinkedIn video, but a traditional enterprise executive, they might prefer a really well-timed phone call. Refining which of these activities you actually use based on your specific audience is absolutely essential.
Let's actually map out how this builds over time. This structured 10-day cadence, sourced from Ringover, shows exactly how to execute this without being overwhelming. Check this out. Day 1, you send an email and a LinkedIn connection request. Day 3, you engage socially, maybe drop a thoughtful comment on one of their posts. Day 5, a follow-up email. Day 7, you go for a phone call. And if there's still 0 response by day 10, you send a polite, professional breakup email to close the loop. This timeline is brilliant because it spaces out your touchpoints perfectly. It keeps you visible and on their radar without becoming, that annoying person spamming their inbox. Finally, section 5, the ethical outreach era and the human element. For our final act here, I want to broaden the scope a bit. Everything we've been talking about applies perfectly to B2B sales, sure, but it also completely aligns with the broader world of relationship building across literally any sector. Take community outreach coordinators, for example. As outlined in the Himalayas Career Guide, these folks are the vital link bridging organizations and the public. Now, they aren't driving commercial sales. They are driving tangible social impact. But guess what? They use these exact same skills: empathy, active listening, transparent communication to foster trust, manage volunteers, and really bridge communities. The massive takeaway here? Good outreach is fundamentally about genuine human connection, regardless of what your job title is. So, what are the universal ethical rules that govern this kind of human connection? Well, there are 3 big ones. 1, earn the right to reach out. 2, be totally transparent about your intent. No false pretenses ever. And 3, keep your asks proportionate to the relationship. Think about it. If you just met someone at a coffee shop, you wouldn't ask for an hour of their time right away, right? Start small. False pretenses are detected almost immediately these days. And honestly, once that trust is broken, it's pretty much game over for the relationship. So, the really crucial point here comes down to this specific time frame: 2 to 3 weeks. If you are doing ethical LinkedIn outreach, the golden rule is that you need to engage with a prospect's public content for 2 to 3 weeks before you ever send a cold connection request. Leave thoughtful comments, contribute something meaningful to their industry discussions. You have to build that relational equity first. I want to leave you with this final thought to just kind of reflect on. I want you to look at your own outbox right now and ask yourself honestly, are you building a momentary transaction or a genuine professional relationship? Because when you finally master the psychology of connection, when you lead with real value and you actually respect the inbox, you don't just get replies. You end the void entirely. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.